Welcome back to my channel. As you guys see by the title, today we're going to be talking about how I found out I was pregnant at 19. If you guys don't already know, my name is Whitney Lynn, and let's get right into it. So, when I was 19, how do I explain this? I had met this boy, and he was a lot younger than me. Well, at the time, I didn't know he was a lot younger than me, but we'll get into that later. I was out of school, I was driving, you know, everything was good, and I had met him in school, and about 4 months after that, you know, our life changed forever. I used to stay over at his mom's house. They rented a house there in Addison, Illinois, and it was just him and his mom and his sister, but his sister stayed with her boyfriend at their apartment, and so really in this big old house it was just them two, and she was hardly ever home because she had to work a lot. She was a single mom, and she had multiple jobs always to take care of her son. And her son was in the same high school I was in, and that's where we met. It was essentially at like a football game, and I knew his friends and he knew mine, and then we just, you know, started talking. So we're gonna call this guy Steven. So Steven was charming, and he kind of like a tough guy, if you will, and for some reason I was really into that at that time, and we got along really well. So I wanted to spend every single waking minute with Steven, and he was pretty much alone at his house all the time. So then, you know, we would hang out there all the time, eating cup soup, ramen, right? Okay. So literally, we spent all of our time together, and if you guys watched my previous video about moving out at 17, you know, me and my mom were not always on the best terms. By this time, I had already moved back into my mom's condo, and things were good. I feel like she felt like I, you know, had my own independence. I had already been, you know, living on my own and whatnot, so it was like, how do I slap rules on her when she's already, like, paid bills and rent and, like, you know, done for herself at this point. So I was pretty free, if you want to say. I mean, I had a job, you know, I was, you know, done with school and things like that, but all my time essentially went into this new relationship. So fast forward a few months, I want to say like 4 months, my mom and my dad go on a trip. I believe it was to Florida, if I'm not mistaken, and the house was empty. My condo was empty. So I had to kind of like be there because my mom had dogs at the house, so I had to like take them out and make sure that, you know, the mail was brought in and things like that. She already knew that I wasn't always coming home. She already knew that I had this boyfriend. She already knew, like, you know, I'm there and I'm not there, I'm there and I'm not there. So she was just like, just make sure that my dogs are okay, you know? So I was like, okay, I can do that. We can do that. Ended up doing that, and during that time is when we both made the decision to take a chance at changing our life forever, if you get my drift. My mom comes back from her trip, and, you know, everything was like fine. I took the dogs out as she asked, and everything was normal. Him and I kept hanging out and whatnot, and then I realized that I did not get my period. And I want to say something. I wasn't completely finished with school because I had to walk still. I just want to say that. So, you know, I didn't get my period, and I was like, what is going on? And I remember we went to the store. I had mentioned this to Steven, and I said, hey, you know, I haven't got it. And he was like, really? Let's go to the store. So then we went to Jewel that was down the street, and we got the like 2 of the cheapest boxes of, you know, the pregnancy test or whatever. And then we went back. He was sitting in my room. I went into the bathroom and I did what I needed to do. When I tell you I was shaking the whole time, like I literally did not know like what to expect or like, well, I mean, you know, there's only 2 outcomes here, okay? Like, it's literally a yes or a no, okay? But you get what I'm saying. Like, I was a mess, right? So I'm, like, shaking. I'm, like, freaking out. I'm like, what if this is what it could be? What if it's not? If it's not, I go on my merry way. Like, we're good. But if it is, like, right? So then I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's just do this. I got this. We're good. So then I take the test. Timer starts. And I'm pacing. I am pacing. I leave the bathroom. I leave the test in the bathroom and I just pace. And then I go and I sit down next to him and I'm just like. And he's like, either way, we're good. He just kept reassuring me, either way, I got you. Either way, we are good. Like, I'm going to be happy either way. And that was so comforting to me because, you know, when you guys are, like, young, it's like they can very well just up and leave. They can very well be like, honey, like, I'm not doing this. I am out. Like, you're stuck. Bye. So to hear this person say, don't worry, like, I'm so happy if you are, but I'm happy if you're not, like, it's okay, like, it's all right, like, don't trip. So then I was like, okay, like, we're good, okay. So then, after I think it's 15 minutes or so, I go and I check the test in the bathroom. And it says, in fact, that I am pregnant. And immediately my eyes start watering and it doesn't even feel real. It literally doesn't feel real. I don't even know what just happened because honestly, when you're that young, like you still don't even realize the impact. Like you don't even realize like what you just did or like what is just happening. Like how big of a change you just made in your life and for how long, you know, like all you're thinking about is, oh, you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be so cute. We're gonna have a little family. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But no one thinks about all the money, all the crying, all the time, all the whining, everything. The clothes, the food, everything. So it was that was, you know, that was later. Right now, I was just like in complete shock and I was like, oh my gosh. So I take it and I bring it over there in the box and I go like this. Here you go. I turn off the TV because I think he was watching soccer or something. Turn it off and I was like, and he looks at me with like the most nervous face and he pulls it out and immediately he drops it, starts crying and just hugs me and is just crying but like smiling, you know. And so we're sitting there on my floor, my bedroom floor, both crying and, you know, having what I feel to be a very good moment. It was, at that time, a very happy, loving, fulfilling moment. So then after that, of course, reality slowly starts to set in and I'm like, I'm fine. I can't keep this between you and me. Like, this is like a whole person now. And wait a minute, I have to tell my mother. Hold up. Like, no, wait a minute. So then I was like, what do I say? What are we gonna do? Oh my God. Like, this is not gonna work. Like, I'm gonna have to leave. Like, I gotta get out of here. Like, I can't do this. Like, and he's just like, whoa. Like, what do you think? She's gonna kick you out? Like, is she gonna kick you out? And I was like, I don't think she's gonna kick me out. I was like, I just think that, like, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to face her. I really don't want to face her. And I really don't want to, like, deal with it. Like, I don't. So I was like, what are we gonna do? Because he was, like, staying there. Did I mention that? He was staying there, like, because he was having issues with his mom. So then, like, he was kind of staying there. And, like, you know, so it was just all bad. It was all bad. Because then he, like, disrespected the house. He disrespected my dad. He disrespected, you know. So basically, and my stepdad. So basically, you know, it was just all really bad. So I knew that once we told her, or I told her, that she was going to say, I don't ever want to see him. I know my mom, okay? I know my mom, and she would have been like, I never want to see him. He has to get the fuck out. Like, I don't want him here. Like, what is wrong? You know, like, just going off. And I was like, hold on. But, like, if that happens, and I am basically not able to see him, or he's not able to come around, or he is not able to be here, then he's gonna miss this baby's life and being in this baby's, like, world, and my, you know, then I feel like I have to run around, hide around with him, like, you know, and I'm now having, like, it just, you know, like, all these thoughts came into my mind, and I was just like, well, I can't have that happen either, because, like, then I'm gonna feel alone when he's just trying to be here. But I understood her too, because I did think about it, and I said, well, shoot, I mean, I would be pretty mad too and wouldn't want him around me either. But at the same time, I just felt like I needed to be with him because, like, we were starting this, like, family together, right? So then I was like, I gotta go. Like, where can we go? So during this time, Steven's mother saw that he was never there. He was staying at my house, right? So he was staying there, and she realized that he was never home. And she was never home because she was always working. But I think because he was out with me, that she kind of got, like, you know, what is it called? Like, jealous or whatever. You know, like, I was taking her son away. And so she then decides, like, she's literally just gonna pack her stuff up one day and leave. Not tell him where she's going, not telling him that she's moving, nothing. So she was so upset by me replacing her that she literally was like, bye, gotta go, and literally left. So he tells me that he had a conversation with her because I guess he went back to the house one day, and the entire house was empty. He's looking through the windows, it's locked and it's empty. So, you know, I was like, that's so bold, but okay, so now what? So then he calls her and he's like, hey mom, like, what's going on? Like, where did you go? The house is empty. Like, what am I supposed to do? And he's like crying on the phone to her, and she's like, son, I left. You already have your own, you know, place to stay, and what am I working so hard for? You know, I'm sitting here, like, paying for all this rent on this big house when it's just me in there. She's like, no. So I got a little apartment over here in Villa Park, and that's it. It's a 1-bedroom. Was it a 1-bedroom? No. She was renting a room. It was a 2-bedroom apartment, but she was renting 1 room out of it. It was just a lady, an older woman, and her little daughter in 1 room, and then she was going to rent the other room. So then he's like, what? Like, are you serious? Like, okay, like, so I can't live here where I am. I was just staying here, you know? And she's like, well, I don't know what you're going to do. You got to figure it out. Like, oh, well. So, because, you know, we were now in a predicament, and she yet still did not know of our circumstances, he dropped out of high school. And so Steven then felt like he needed to, you know, like, find a job. So he started working with his uncle that had a granite top. I don't even know what you call that. Like a granite top company where they do, like, granite in the kitchens and stuff. He started working with him full time because now he had, like, a baby on the way. And I, at 3 months, walked down the aisle. I walked down, how is the phrase? I walked across the stage with a 3-month-old belly. No one can tell, you know, but I knew that I was 3 months pregnant getting handed my diploma, so it was a really special moment. And basically, now when I think about it, my son Isaac has been with me, you know, even in that time, you know, he was there. Steven was working and he was trying to, you know, get as many jobs as he possibly could to make sure that we would have somewhere to move to. But it never ended up really happening because at this time I felt I needed to tell my mom. So from my memory, my mom kind of already had a hunch because apparently she would check the garbage. And she kind of knew when I was getting my period and kind of noticed that I didn't. But just like didn't say anything, wasn't sure, you know, so... Anyway, so I ended up telling her, and I believe I left a note. Shocker. Shocker. I left a note, and I left the test on the note. Okay? So bad. I left the note, I left the test, and I grabbed my stuff, and I left once again. So, grabbed as many bags as I could, and just left. Where did we go, you ask? His mother ended up letting us stay there. So he had to spill the beans to her and say, "You're gonna be a grandma." And she was like, "What?" And he was like, "You're gonna be a grandma and we need somewhere to stay." So she was just like, she was like annoyed for the first few days and, you know, mad or whatever, but she was like, "Yeah, you guys, you know, can come here." Like what happened with her mom, and I don't know what he ended up telling her, but anyway, she said yes. So we end up taking all my bags and we go into her apartment in Villa Park, and we go upstairs, and basically she had 2 couches in the living room. And I stayed on the love seat one, and he stayed on the larger one. So that's literally how we spent my entire pregnancy, literally sleeping on couches. And at that, her daughter ended up moving in as well. So yeah, it was crazy. Like, literally, it was crazy. So her daughter and her boyfriend ended up moving into that room as well. So I believe her mom had a boyfriend too. So it was literally the 4 of them sleeping in that room. And it sounds crazier now that I'm saying it out loud, because back then, I mean, you had nothing, so you're gonna just do with what you have. But the 4 of them were sleeping in that room, 2 on the ground and 2 in a bed, and then us on the 2 different couches. It was crazy. And then plus the 2 other people in the other room. So literally in a 2-bedroom apartment, it was 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 people. Then to top it off, his sister ends up getting pregnant too. So we're both baking at the same time. Moving on, my mom ends up sending me, you know, texts almost every day just asking me how I'm doing. And I remember her sending me a pretty long text that basically said, like, "You didn't have to leave. Like, why would you leave? I don't understand why you left." And I basically explained to her, like, you know, I just felt like I knew you were going to tell him he had to go, and I don't want to do this on my own. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm alone, and I don't want to feel like away from him while I'm literally growing his child inside of me. Like, I just felt like he needed to be there. So that's why I left. I told her, I said, it's nothing against you, or it's not like, you know, I'm running away from you. It's just that I know that he can't no longer be there. So, like, I just feel like we have to move as a unit right now because of my situation. So she was like, I completely understand that. She's like, I just wish, like, you would have stayed a little bit longer, you know, like, I can help, you know, I could have taken you to doctor's appointments. I can do all that stuff for you. Like, you really don't need him. Like, if he wanted to be there, he would, you know, like, all this stuff, you know, and I get it now, and I got it then, but, like, you know, I just felt like I needed to give him that opportunity to actually be around as much as possible, so that's what I did. And, yeah, so it was a ride. It was very much so a ride. You know, I ate a lot of cup noodles because we were all super broke. Everyone was pretty much working under the table, and I was not working at all. I went ahead and, you know, just stayed home while he, you know, did like a landscaping job and whatnot. And, you know, it was a very interesting year. At about 5 months pregnant, I was told that he had another child. So imagine being 5 months pregnant, and it is confirmed with photos, with receipts, with everything. MySpace was a thing back then. With MySpace, that he had another child right before I came into the picture. And the child had just been born. So then I, of course, have like a dramatic breakdown, and I lock myself in the bathroom because I could not believe that I was pregnant with somebody's child that literally lied to me, never mentioned a whole other kid or a whole other girl. I'm like so confused, like, where did this come from? Never heard of anything about it. Then shortly after, I say, well, what else are you lying about? And it turns out that he was not the age that he said he was. So turns out when I met him, I was 18. And I assumed he was 16, which wasn't too bad for me. You know, like nowadays, you know, when outside of school, it's nothing. But when you're in high school, like every year counts, you know, like freshman to senior, that's like a no-no, right? But he was like a 16-year-old. I didn't even know what grade he was. Like, because again, I only knew his friends. I didn't even know him. I never saw him. We literally met outside of school at a football game. So it wasn't like, I don't know. But it turns out that when I met this child, let's see, I had just turned 18. So he was 14. And that was so I was 17, then I turned 18, and he was 14. And that was so devastating, and I was so disgusted. I was so confused. I was so like, how? Like, how? Like, what? Do I even know your real name? Like, literally, on a serious note, like, I was so lost. And so yeah, so I'm probably just gonna end that here and save the rest. I have so much more to tell about Steven. There is so much more to this story, and yeah, we will go into what happened when I found out. But I wanted to go ahead and reach out to my mom and the people that were close to me around this time and see their view on like what happened and how did I tell them, you know, that I was pregnant. Like, what do they remember? So I'm going to insert those clips right now, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Enjoy. Bye.
How I found out Whitney was pregnant, she actually broke the news to me over the phone. I just remember being very shocked, but at the same time very excited because we were both pregnant at the same time. And yeah, it was very exciting, very scary at the same time. You know, I was 18, she was 19, so very, very young. My advice for the youth who are trying to rush parenthood, just wait. Just wait it out. Parenthood is no joke. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress. It is not rainbows and butterflies all the time. So yeah, just be safe, wrap it up. You got your whole life ahead of you, and just live it up. Have fun. Enjoy yourselves while you can.
So I'm pretty sure the day that you told me I was at your house, because I was at your house like every damn day back then. It was my second home. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty shocked when you told me. I was not expecting it at all. But of course I was happy for you. I was excited. I had my daughter already, so I was excited that my best friend was gonna be joining me in the mom club and we can do all these mom activities together.
I recall me and Jesse going to Vegas and got back, and you, I believe, sent me a picture of the test. And I'm going to tell you right now, I was like, what the F? In raising you, I did what I could. I stayed on day shift. I didn't want to go on night shift to prevent that. In reality, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Once I accepted it, my main objective was to support you because I was the same age when I was pregnant with you. My advice to other parents is, no one is perfect. We've all made mistakes. And if your child comes to you saying that they're pregnant or have gotten somebody pregnant, you do your due diligence and you support your kid. You support them and you help raise them and you help just be that family.
I don't remember too many details about that day, but I do recall that me and your mother were really shocked to find out that you were pregnant at such a young age. We wanted to make sure that you graduated high school, you got that taken care of. We also didn't want to overreact in the situation. We wanted to kind of think things through, to make sure that we were as supportive as we could be, and that we were there for you. Would I regret any of it? No, I wouldn't regret it. Not a single moment. I think for me, obviously once we got over the initial shock phase, I think we were happy to know that you were pregnant. Any advice I would give parents is just to make sure you're there for your kids.